Hello everyone and welcome back to another session of Bloodborne PvP and another weapon showcase. This time I am using the Holy Moonlight Sword, and this is a weapon that many people were very disappointed was not in the initial release of the game. That said, it is here now. The Moonlight Greatsword has made a return, and it is as fantastic as you would expect it to be. So let's get started with it. The Moonlight Greatsword, the Holy Moonlight Sword. This weapon requires 16 strength, 12 skill, and 14 arcane in order to wield. It has a B scaling in strength, a C scaling in skill, as well as an A scaling in arcane. The physical base damage of the weapon is only 180. Only. Never mind that, it's one of the highest base damages in the game. And the arcane base is 100. The attack rating for me with this weapon, despite only having 14 arcane, at the time of this video, is 730-ish. It's like 731 for me. So that's pretty high, considering I only have the base stats to use the weapon in one of its stats. Its highest scaling stat, of course, but point remains, I'm not using this thing to its full potential, and its attack rating and damage is still very high. So that's a good thing. This weapon can be extremely powerful, and that just goes to show how powerful it can really be. Now, the first form of this weapon, it has medium speed slashing R1s, and they all have decent range, and by saying they all, I mean every single attack with this weapon. They all have decent range. There are no attacks that are short. It's just a very long weapon. It's a greatsword style weapon. It makes sense that it would be a long, technically medium reaching weapon, but point remains, you can hit your opponents from pretty far away, and there's not much of a concern regarding that. In the first form also, the thrusting R2 attack, very useful. You can catch people off guard very easily. Although one of my favorite things to do is actually doing a running R2, which is also a running thrust. You can easily chase people down with that, plus it deals a fair bit of damage. However, I would have to say that my absolute favorite attack with this weapon isn't in the secondary form with the nice explodey beams or anything like that. It's actually the first form charged R2. The first form charged R2 is a strong but slow thrusting attack. And following that, you have a follow-up that is a strong upward slash, like an uppercut Dark Souls 1 Black Knight weapon style. And did I mention that they're strong? Because the two attacks between the both of them, I mean, they can easily deal 1200 plus damage, no problem whatsoever. So that's a good thing. Clearly, that's a very good thing, and kind of scary too. So, there's that. In the secondary form though, your R1s again are medium speed slashes, but in this case the first two slashes are going to be angled from top right to bottom left, and then left to top right. Makes sense, but that said does leave you with a considerable blind spot. Following that though, the other R1s, the third and fourth R1s, are going to be horizontal slashes, so you're good in that department after that point. So, that's just, it is what it is. The R2s in this form, in the secondary form, they are going to be horizontal slashes that shoot a beam, and the beam of course does deal arcane damage, pure arcane damage, whereas the sword itself will still deal physical damage if I'm not mistaken. I do deal a considerable amount of damage when I hit with that attack, despite only having 14 arcane, so it leads me to believe that there is still some physical aspect to it. Other than that, every single R2 with this weapon, whether it's a running R2, fully charged R2, any R2 will shoot out a beam of some kind, which is pretty cool. That said, the beam will use bullets. The only attack that does sort of a magical explosion or beam of some kind that does not use bullets would be the transform attack going from the second form back to the first form. Other than that, the L2 on this weapon is a long-range thrust with an arcane sort of explosion, for lack of a better term, that does a lot of damage. It's a really cool looking attack. I like it a lot. And, you know, it's just good stuff. So, again, nothing to complain about there. So, with this weapon, I'd have to say that the pros would definitely be the fact that it is incredibly damaging. Also the fact that the charged R2 can be framed very easily. when you're in the first form, or secondary form for that matter. Both of them are easily free-aimed and can deal a lot of damage. Also, the charged R2 in the secondary form does have a follow-up as well, so that can be also very useful. First charged R2 is going to be an angled beam and slash, whereas the second is going to be horizontal, for the record. And with that side you can unlock with the secondary attack, and that will do some pretty good stuff as well. Transform attacks back to the first form, they have good tracking, but the big deal with this is they actually have a very wide hitbox, and as I'm sure you can imagine, it's a very useful thing to have, especially when you are in a situation that involves you going against more than one player, which, let's be honest, that's very common, so it is what it is. Other than that, the ability to have ranged attacks is nice, but of course it would be better if I had more arcane. I mean, having only base arcane doesn't really do me too many favors, to say the very least. That said, it's not a deal breaker for me to use the weapon or not. I'm okay with it. Cons of the weapon, it's not overly fast, it's not overly slow, it's just sort of a medium speed. That said, it's nothing really special. Other than that, we've got the fact that it's easy to dodge due to the fact that it's very predictable, and the moves are very, very telegraphed. You can actually, on-site, disrupt them guaranteed pretty much every single time because they are at that slower speed. Not a huge deal, and lag will take some effect into that, but it does leave a bit to be desired, so that's something to watch out for. Another thing that leaves a bit to be desired is second form Stagger. It is not honestly that great. First form does a better job at staggering opponents, but otherwise that's all I've got for the weapon. So I hope you guys enjoyed this video, found it helpful in one way or another, and other than that, I've got nothing else to say. So again, thanks for stopping by guys, and I will see you next time.